Why is my daycare kid always sick, and what actually helps? A parenting guide from Creative Minds Montessori. Your kid isn't broken and you're not failing. 8 to 12 colds and stomach bugs a year is textbook normal for a daycare toddler. It's their immune system doing its job, and it's worst in the first year of group care, then eases. Keep them home for real fevers, vomiting, or diarrhea, wash hands, protect sleep, skip the unproven immune boosters, and split the sick day load with your partner on purpose. This is not medical advice, trust your gut and your doctor. The mechanism is almost embarrassingly simple: many small children, one shared room, shared toys, and hands that go straight into mouths. But the deeper reason changes how the whole season feels. A young child's immune system hasn't yet met most of the 200+ viruses that cause common colds, so every new bug is a first-time exposure, a training rep. This is the immune system doing its job, not failing at it. Their small upper airways also predispose them to ear and sinus infections along the way. Now the numbers that make the madness feel sane. 8 to 12 respiratory infections or stomach bugs a year is normal for toddlers and preschoolers. Squeeze most of those into the fall-winter stretch and the math works out to roughly one illness every 2 weeks at the peak, which is exactly why it feels constant. Because it nearly is, and it's still normal. Kids in group care do get sick more at first, but the excess is front-loaded. Illness rates converge within about 6 months to a year. The first winter is the worst by far, and quitting daycare usually just restarts the clock later. Here's the perspective only history can give. Around 1900, nearly 1 in 5 children died before their 5th birthday, mostly of infectious disease. Every generation of parents has watched their small child cycle through sickness. What's changed isn't the frequency of the sniffles, it's the stakes. Vaccines, sanitation, and germ theory transformed childhood illness from mortal danger into, almost always, minor, self-limiting misery. Your great-grandmother would have recognized the runny nose, she would not have believed the safety. So why does it feel harder now? Because the structure of family life changed around the germs. Group care starts younger, so children meet the viral gauntlet as infants rather than at kindergarten, and the extended family backup is rarer, so every sick day is a work crisis. The phone cuts both ways. Daycare apps flag a fever in real time and telehealth lets you triage at 2 a.m., but late-night symptom Googling inflates every rash into a catastrophe, and everyone else's curated feed makes it look like only your child is always sick. They aren't. 3 common moves, honestly. The first, supplements and immune boosters, vitamin C, zinc, elderberry, immunity gummies. It feels proactive, and genuine nutrition does support health. But pediatric sources are blunt that these generally don't prevent colds, can carry side effects, and probiotic evidence is mixed at best. The risk is false security plus money and energy spent on non-solutions. Ask the pediatrician before starting any supplement. The second move, hypercleaning or pulling the child out. Hand hygiene genuinely works, but you cannot sanitize a toddler-filled room to zero, and some exposure is how immunity gets built. Pulling the child usually just delays the sick season to whenever they next join a group, and daycare kids collect a later payoff, with fewer colds by school age. You're paying immunity tuition either way. The third move, powering through, medicating the fever and sending them in. Understandable, but it violates most centers' policies and reseeds the whole classroom, so the bug boomerangs back to your house in 2 weeks. Hold this as a tendency, not a rule. Sick day season is where the household's invisible imbalance becomes visible. Mothers carry roughly 71% of the mental load, and about 70% of mothers use their own sick days for a sick child. The clash pattern is familiar. One parent runs the monitor channel, tracking temperatures and making the keep home call, while the other runs it's just a cold. Neither is wrong. And the resentment loop underneath is almost always the same, because almost no couple has the explicit who takes the sick day conversation before the sick day. So have the conversation in advance, on purpose. Pre-agree a rotation and a tiebreaker, whose meeting is truly immovable this week, alternate sick days by default rather than by whoever caves first, and split the mental tasks, not just the physical ones. One parent owns the pediatrician relationship, the other owns daycare communications. For single parents, the problem is isolation, not negotiation. Build an external backup roster, a relative, a sitter, a sick day co-op, before the next inevitable bug. And watch the flexibility trap, where the parent with the flexible job absorbs every sick day until flexibility becomes a career penalty. The principle across all three methods: you can't out-sanitize or out-supplement a developing immune system. You can only channel the habits, calm the decisions, and support the body doing its normal work. The first method: make handwashing a real, child-led ritual. Handwashing is the single most effective illness prevention tool there is, and the evidence says teaching it beats merely providing soap. Structured hand hygiene instruction cut illness-related absence by more than a quarter during flu season. This is where Montessori has a 100-year head start. Dr. Montessori was a physician, and the first classrooms built handwashing into the practical life curriculum. Because a skill broken into concrete, child-scaled steps becomes a habit, while a skill nagged from above becomes a fight. So set it up for independence: a step stool at the sink, soap the child can reach, their own towel. Break it into the same steps every time: wet, soap, scrub, rinse, dry, tidy, and scrub for the length of a familiar song. Anchor it to natural moments: home from daycare, before eating, after nose-blowing, and let the child do it themselves, even imperfectly, because the ownership is what makes it stick. Introduce it as a shared game: let's wash the daycare germs down the drain, and never frame the child as dirty. The saboteur is doing it for them to save time, which keeps the skill yours instead of theirs. The second method: post a written keep-home rule and let the rule make the call. Half the misery of sick season is the 6:45 a.m. argument: is she too sick for school? Outsource that decision to clear pediatric criteria. Keep home for fever over 101 with behavior change, vomiting twice or more in a day, diarrhea, a rash with fever, or a child too unwell to join activities. Return only after 24 hours fever-free without fever-reducing medicine. And the half parents forget: do not keep them home for a plain runny nose or a cough without fever. Mild colds are fine for group care. One exception: any fever in an infant under 2 months means call the doctor now. Print it, stick it on the fridge, and agree that the rule decides, not the more anxious or less anxious parent. Keep a stocked home sick kit: thermometer, fluids, clean sheets, comfort items, so a keep-home day is a plan rather than a scramble. And loop the child in gently: your body's working hard today, so we rest at home. Make staying home feel like care, not punishment. What undoes this method is the exception making: he seems fine-ish and I have that meeting, which is precisely how the classroom, and then your house, gets reseated. The third method: support the body's real defenses. Everything that actually helps is boring, cheap, and already on your list. Sleep is the biggest lever, so protect naps and bedtime ruthlessly during sick season. Offer varied fruits and vegetables and plenty of fluids. Keep vaccines current, and wash hands. What this method really asks for is a reframe. Stop trying to prevent or cure every bug you can't, and start helping the body do its normal work. That shift, from fighting the season to riding it, is what saves the sanity of veteran daycare parents. When a bug does land, comfort is legitimate care: rest, fluids, cuddles, the couch, low expectations. Keep routines as steady as possible so illness doesn't feel like scary upheaval to the child. Reassure them it's temporary, and let go of the idea that a sick week must also be a productive week. The saboteur here is the guilt-googling spiral at midnight. It adds anxiety, not immunity. Save the search bar for the specific red flags, and give everyone, including yourself, permission to just be sick sometimes. Even a 5-year-old knows germs make you sick, but their model is half-built, and they can't grasp the invisible, delayed parts. Which is why framing, "you didn't wash your hands, that's why you're sick," lands on a small child as "I was bad," both untrue and anxiety-making. From inside, being sick is scary and boring at once. Feeling awful, not understanding why, wanting only the primary parent. The clinginess and regressions are a need for safety and predictability, not misbehavior. What they need is comfort and an honest, simple script. A tiny germ got in, your body is fighting it, and it will pass. Illness is where a center's quality becomes measurable. A good program bakes hygiene into the day as curriculum, not chore, real handwashing instruction, consistent cleaning and diapering protocols, and a sick policy that's actually enforced, because a center that holds the 24 hours fever-free line is protecting your child from everyone else's boomerang bugs. Its trained staff know each child's baseline, catch early symptoms, and tell you the same day. A weak center shows the reverse. You learn about the room's stomach bug days late, and concerns get waved off with all kids get sick, technically true, and a red flag is a conversation ender. Run the communication 3 ways. You tell the center what you're seeing at home, low fever since 5 a.m., and how to reach you instantly. The center gives you daily observations, appetite, energy, naps, symptoms, plus early heads-ups on what's circulating in the room. And the child hears the same simple, non-scary language at both places. Fair questions for any program. How do you teach handwashing, and when? What's your sick policy, and do you enforce it? How fast will I hear about symptoms or an outbreak? How do you respond when a parent raises a worry? This is not medical advice. Always check with your own pediatrician. Worth a conversation. More than about 12 infections in a year, delayed growth or unexplained weight loss, infections that don't resolve or keep needing antibiotics, or a family history of immune disorders. Call the same day for any fever of 100.4 or higher in an infant under 2 months, fever over 101 with a real behavior change, repeated vomiting or diarrhea, a rash with fever, trouble breathing, or a child too lethargic to be comforted. And give weight to the parental gut sense that this one is different. That's a reason to ask, not to panic, and asking is never overreacting. There's no universal formula. Kids differ in how they wear illness, families differ in flexibility, backup, and their culture around rest, and both cocooning and powering through can be loving. 2 truths coexist. The constant sick season is almost always normal and temporary, and it is genuinely exhausting. You don't have to pick one. The long view is the comfort the research earns. The first daycare year is front-loaded immunity tuition, and group care kids tend to have fewer colds by school age. And when you catch the eye of the other pajama-clad parent in the pharmacy line, that nod is the truth of it. You're not failing. It passes. For the full guide and more parenting resources, visit creativemindsmontessori.com/parenting.